Hello, fellow watchers and enjoyers. Ash here to kind of talk you through a little project that I've been thinking about doing as of late, and that is what I'll call Rekindling the Passion. A video series where I document myself trying to get back into a soap that was formerly my favourite, that being Coronation Street. Now, why does it mean anything to me? Well, Coronation Street was a show that I got into during the pandemic that kind of helped expand my love for soaps and helped expand my intrigue and interest in the soap space. Coronation Street was the second soap I started to watch after EastEnders, and I quickly followed up with watching Hollyoaks as well. And Coronation Street, getting into it was like, it was like being a fat kid in a sweet shop. You're just kind of like, oh, fucking hell, and there's stuff over there, and then, oh, you can look in the past and there's stuff here, and just, oh, just fucking just give me it all. Just give me it all. And that's what I did with Coronation Street. I watched Summer 2020. I then ran out of stuff on 2020. I then watched the David Platt rape storyline. I then watched the famous Richard Hillman storyline. There's a lot of stuff online that you can watch to watch storylines of Coronation Street. I watched the Tyrone and Kirsty Soames domestic abuse storyline, which is still probably my favorite Coronation Street story of all time. I watched a lot of the Kylie and David. I watched a lot of the Platt stuff. I watched 2018. I watched 2019. I went to watch 2017. I watched 2000. I have watched a lot of Coronation Street to make up for a lot of the time that I had lost. And through time, it did very rapidly become my favourite show because it had a different charm, it has a different feel, it's slightly slower, it's not as, you know, it's a whole lot more down to earth in a sense than EastEnders was at that time. And at that time, EastEnders wasn't a bad place, and I was giving up on it, and I was fucking fed up of the direction, fed up of the Grey Atkins, fed up of the fucking, just all of the characters who were just like, man, I genuinely, if I could just leave you in the past and never see you again, I'd be happier. But unfortunately, through time, especially throughout the previous year, I strongly believe that Coronation Street has been in a very dark place. And I feel like Coronation Street has been in a very dark place for a fairly long time. Quite like how Hollyoaks is emerging like a fucking butterfly out of a cocoon, flourishing in the new era despite Channel 4 trying to kill it. Coronation Street, I feel, is and has been in quite a bad place for a long time. And I feel like it's just been a downward spiral, continuing where I start to lose my interest in the show. And look, I love Coronation Street, I love Hollyoaks, I love EastEnders. Those are my three top soaps that I'll always enjoy. And I just found myself throughout the Stephen Reed killer storyline, throughout a lot of their stuff in the previous period, I've just felt a lot of the things I looked to and loved about Coronation Street, I felt like they were slowly just missing. And I felt like I was just quickly running out of enjoyment of the show, so I stopped watching the show. I think the last time I genuinely watched Coronation Street was around like October, November-ish of last year, and my issue was that there would constantly be these long-running storylines announced, and it's like, can I just get some good storylines now? Can I genuinely get some good storylines right fucking now? I don't want to wait 9 months. I don't fucking care. But a lot of the previous year did become me enjoying the Daisy and Ryan dynamic, which, when it inevitably got put on the fucking rocks, well, I wasn't nearly as fucking exciting about, was I? Because suddenly both characters, well, one character's off screen and this isn't developing. So, in a roundabout way to say, this series is about essentially a diary of sorts of me keeping track of my enjoyment of Coronation Street as I slowly watch more and more. Now, I have from January onwards to watch. I also need to hurry up with getting through episodes because I'm now You know how the iPlayer sometimes likes to take off like 3 months behind? Well, I'm now quickly having to speed through as they're taking off the dates that I'm getting to. So far, I've watched approximately 5 episodes of the new year, and the first week was a slog. The New Year week was indeed a slog, I can't lie. But it's been starting to get better. It has been starting to become a bit more enjoyable. I always say that the way you can tell if the soap's in a good place is the comedy lands, and for the first time in months, the comedy in Coronation Street has been landing. And I'm a lot more willing, I'm a lot less addled with the characters, I'm a lot less upset. I am now being able to give Coronation Street a fair shout. And I think it's a very positive thing. And it's something I didn't expect to happen, because I've never really taken big long breaks from watching soaps. I've been watching them for years. I've been watching EastEnders since 2018 or 2018. I've been obviously watching Coronation Street and Hollyoaks and Emmerdale, a bit of Neighbours in there, on and off again, the last two, since 2020. And I've never taken a long extended break because I was genuinely always enjoying the show. So it was a really startling thing, and it was something I was kind of terrified that I wasn't going to get back, you know. I love Coronation Street. It did have my favourite soap was my favourite soap for a period of time. And I was genuinely getting very worried, thinking oh shit, man. You know, is this like a bad relationship where we're just not right for each other anymore, you know? Do I want to see other people? Do I experiment with other soaps, you know? Do I cheat on them? And I didn't have the answer for you, but I will just say, I have watched up to about partway through the Friday the 12th of Jan, and so far, the first week was a slog, but it is getting better. So that immediately gives me a lot of very positive emotions, and I feel a lot better knowing that, hey, you know, it's not all bad, you know. This is, it feels a lot more doable. I'm not groaning oh, shit, now I've got to go through all fucking this. And I think that's already a very positive sign and something that's important to document. I'm very pleased that, you know, I as I said before, I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to get it back, and I've seen glimpses. You know, I peered in, and I've seen some news articles suggesting oh, you know, this storyline's going to happen. I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. Looking forward to it. And it's also in the very similar me fashion where I could have just skipped till current day, and well, I could have just skipped 3 months through, but I went, nah, I've got to watch it. Because I am my methods are questionable, I can't lie. It's not the smartest way to do anything, but it's a good test to see if I can get through this 3 months. I can probably get through the year, and if by the end of this project I am fully back as a Coronation Street fan, I thought it would be a good way to document it in a way. I thought it would be a good idea to show, and a good idea to, you know, take it as more of a, less of a documentary, but more of a updates and more of a diary, just to show that, it is possible, you know. Maybe this will give some other people some more reason to be oh, you know, I'm not really a fan of EastEnders, but I don't really know the characters. But I think that I hope that it'll be a series that people will gravitate to, as I feel like a lot of people can relate to the waning interest and the, you know, the characters aren't like they used to be. I prefer my characters. I prefer all this. And I hope that it at least has some impact, and I hope people enjoy it to any extent. It may not be the most seen, as it is a Coronation Street video on a predominantly EastEnders and Hollyoaks channel, and that's just fine. But I thought it'd be an interesting little look at trying to rekindle the passion. As such, I don't exactly know how I'm going to do this. I was gonna make it this whole big long documentary I was just gonna record over time, but I think I may just release it like episode by episode as I gradually get further and further into the installments. And then at the end, I'll turn it into one big long video and we can go from there. But I think the second part will be a bit more story based. I'll be discussing what happened at the time and the stuff that's allowing me to get back into it. But I think this was just a surface level look at what my goals are for this series and how much I'll actively get into it. But there we are, I suppose. That is my take on Rekindling the Passion. That's my background and my previous history with Coronation Street, and, you know, we now know where I'm aiming to go. So I do hope that people have enjoyed this, in a sense, this weird, slightly more different perspective. And it felt important to document as, you know, what if I just watch it and enjoy it? You know, I can't, like, document it afterwards and be like, well, it was bloody shit, and then I got better, you know? It feels like a one-time thing. As once I'm back, I'm back. So only time will tell. Will I be able to rekindle the passion? Have you had a soap that's become disgraced in your brain and you want to try get into it? Join me and try to rekindle that passion. Try to find back the love that you have misplaced. The show that you truly do love, that you truly want to get back with. Go ahead and join me in this series. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me your feelings. Tell me how your journey is going. And maybe together we can rekindle the passion. I've been Ash from Watching Walford. I hope you liked this pilot, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. As said before, join along me with this journey. Thank you for watching. Make sure to join me in the next one. See you then. Bye-bye.